Hulkenberg.
And part of this is your fault, I'll be honest. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tyre Talk. I am back, the saving grace of this podcast. Thank you very much. But we're back today with an episode, and it's a bit different from usual. We did miss the Silverstone Grand Prix, but today we're going to be ranking the 20 drivers of the F1 grid according to how good we think they've been this season. But Dan, how have you been, first of all?
I've been all right. Obviously went to Silverstone. That was really fun.
Yeah, bit of flex, but okay.
Yeah, you're in Canada, so that's it's a bit of a hash together episode this week because we're all in a different country at the minute, aren't we? So
yeah. Just for reference, by the way, so I'm recording this on Canada time at 10 to 4, and it's 10 to 9 for you. So we're really patching this together. But do you want to explain how we're going to be doing the episode today as well?
So it's pretty simple. We're just going to start in from number 20 all the way up to 1, ranking the drivers on how we feel they've done. So yeah, that's pretty straightforward.
Pretty simple.
I'm sure I'll upset a few people, but that's okay.
Yeah. So this is just our opinions.
Feel free to disagree downstairs in the comments.
Yeah, get commenting. But yeah, we're basically just having a bit of fun and just trying to get something out because we couldn't make the Silverstone. It's a bit late for that now. So so let's jump straight into it. Okay, we're back, and starting in 20th. I feel like for me there are only 2 choices for this.
Well, there's only one, really.
I think but that's being generous. Do you want to take it away? Who is 20th?
Max? No, it's Nick de Vries.
It is Nick de Vries.
Yeah.
In the past week, literally since anyone last recorded for the podcast, he has lost his job. What are your thoughts on Daniel Ricciardo coming back into F1 then? Because I do think it's an interesting topic.
I think it's good for the sport, isn't it? He's, everyone likes Daniel Ricciardo, but I feel like it's a measuring stick for Yuki. I feel like that's what he's being put in there for. If Tsunoda can beat Ricciardo, then I feel like it's been grim for the Red Bull seat, and I'd be sweating if I was Perez, to be honest.
But, did you see that thing about how obviously Ricciardo has been driving the Red Bull car a bit to get back into it, and they did like a seat fitting and whatnot. And I saw something about how if Daniel Ricciardo had been he did a fast lap around Silverstone, and if he'd done that lap during qualifying, he would have been fast enough for P2 on the grid. I feel like maybe there are 10 drivers on the grid who that would also apply to, possibly even Yuki Tsunoda with the current Red Bull, but
yeah, we also don't know if he was on a softer tyre, do we? Because they can use any tyres for the tyre test. So it's all if and buts. But on Nick, I feel like he's still. What's your thoughts on? Do you think it was a bit harsh to sack him already?
I'll be honest. I don't think it's harsh. There's a lot of money that goes into F1, and if you're not performing, you have to be very adaptive. And if you're not performing, if you're not good enough, you've got to go. I think he will probably feel hard done by because there's no denying in terms of motorsport, he's a talented driver. We've seen it before. He's won F2 and he won Formula E. I just think he's unlucky. I mean, what do you think then?
It's such a cutthroat environment, isn't it? Red Bull, that's the seat where if you're not performing, you're out straight away. But 10 races, even for Red Bull, is a bit harsh, I think, because he's been getting closer, hasn't he, to Yuki? Every single week he's been getting there.
But there wasn't a single week where I thought, you know what, he's done well this week.
No, but how much that's down to the car as well? Because the AlphaTauri is a dog of a car.
Yuki's in the same car, and whilst the points don't reflect it, he's been very close to. I mean, for the first 10 races, he was like P10, P12, P30. He was always in and around the area. And then you've got Nick. You have to literally move your head to look where Nick de Vries is on the timing sheet. I mean, I just don't think I think he's been miles off. I really.
I feel like the circumstances haven't helped him out because Yuki's having a fantastic year and the AlphaTauri's are awful.
Yeah, true. But the whole point, I suppose, the whole point.
But we have put him bottom, haven't we?
We have put him bottom. He's been, I just think he's been good enough. But should we move on to 19?
Yeah.
Who have you put?
Go.
Well, I've got Logan Sargent. I'm just going to jump in.
Okay.
Because and I hate to say it because at the start of the season, I remember a couple of races in, I didn't feel like he was doing that bad. Like he'd sort of, the Williams is not a fast car, really. Overall, it's not a fast car, but it's reliable, I think is the sense we're getting with it. But at the start of the season, he was in and around, he was looking like he might be able to score a point here or there. But since then, now he's just been, the car's been rubbish. And Albon's been pushing for points a lot, and he hasn't at all. Tell me if I'm being harsh.
Well, I haven't got Logan Sargent 19th. I was thinking about it, but last in Silverstone, obviously, he was a lot closer. I think he finished 12th or 11th in the end, and he has
Don't know, actually.
he has got the upgrades now. Albon got him a few races before he did. Anyway, I've put Kevin Magnussen 19th.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think he's been so disappointing, mediocre. Because last year, like he come back, got that pole position, got fifth in his first race back, and then this year, like Matt Hulkenberg's come in, slapped him up. He's put the Haas, on the front row before the penalties in Canada, and Magnussen's just been nowhere. He was like beefing with De Vries for like the last 3 weeks, and yes, the Haas goes backwards in the races, but he's just been so poor compared to his teammate, who's been out of F1 for about I think it's 3 seasons now.
Yeah.
Hulkenberg
Who
in
have
and
you
out.
got 18th then?
Bottas.
Yeah, same. Same. I also have
Yeah.
Bottas.
Well, it's a similar one. He should be still beating Joe. I know it's his second year now, Joe, and he's a bit more into Formula One. But this is still, still drove for Mercedes. Still, he's been on pole. He's won races, and he just looks like a shadow. Like he's like a shell of his former self. I don't know what it is, but he's
Yeah.
just not. Like in Spain was the real one for me where Joe was in and out. Joe got points and he was fighting the entire time, and Bottas was just like strolling around in 17th.
Yeah. So what it reminds me of, or what I feel like we should have been seeing from Bottas, is even when Vettel was in that Aston Martin, he was leading the grid for overtakes, and then when we had Kimi in the Alfa Romeo, he was still making moves. I haven't seen that from Bottas at all.
Yeah,
So I
obviously
also have
he's
Bottas
not a
19.
Vettel and Kimi level driver, is he?
No,
But
he's not, but he's been at the top. He's
yeah,
been in the fastest car on the grid.
yeah, he's been disappointing. There's still obviously we know he's quick. He's shown it, but I don't know. Maybe because at Mercedes he always had to be on top of his game because he only got 1 year contract at a time.
Yeah,
Maybe he's a bit too relaxed now.
maybe. I mean, maybe he's just sort of lost the drive. He's used to fighting. I mean, well, at the start of his Mercedes career, he was trying to fight Lewis, and then very quickly after that, the Red Bulls got quick or the Ferraris got quick, and he had a strict role. Whereas now he's in the Alfa Romeo, it's sort of
Just in the midfield, isn't he?
yeah, there isn't. I mean, maybe they're targeting sixth or seventh or something in the championship, perhaps optimistically, but that's not for him. Maybe that's not what he's used to. He's used to being in the front. He's not used to aiming
Yeah.
for a middling seat.
And if you were Audi, would you look to keep him on for any longer?
I think there's too much else. That there are too many other promising drivers, so I probably wouldn't, to be honest. Um, what do you think? What do you think?
No, I feel like he's either going to retire or they're going to. Well, I think he'll either get dropped and retire or he'll just retire. I
Yeah,
can't see him. If he's in F1 past 2024, I'll be shocked.
yeah, I agree. I think he'll retire. I feel like he'd be very hard done by to be dropped and then say he's retiring afterwards. I feel like probably the team are probably very aware of his situation and they don't want to
Yeah.
disrespect him because whilst he's still a top quality. Well, he's been a very top quality driver. He's brought a lot to F1, I suppose, in the past. It will be a shame to see him go. Not, he's not won a world championship or anything, but he's still he's a part of the grid, isn't he?
He's a staple. He's been a staple the last 10 years, hasn't he, of F1? He's been
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Should we go on to 17th? And who have you got in
yeah.
17th?
This is where I've put Logan Sargent. I put him 17th.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Any reason why? Anything too different from what I said?
Well, I just like obviously the three below him. I expect a lot more of them, which is
Okay,
why they're below him. And
yeah,
Logan, he started slow, but once the car's been a bit more drivable, like he finished in front of an Aston Martin at Silverstone last week. Yes, it's Stroll, but
mm,
you know
still
he's
a fast
still
car.
yeah, he's still a good car. And I feel like I say, I don't like judging the rookies too harshly. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. 17th. He's not been great, but I feel like his first points are coming because the Williams is relatively competitive now. So
Okay,
I think it'll
okay,
happen for him.
okay. Well, what about I've got Guan Yu Zhou. Um,
Okay.
maybe that's harsh. I feel like maybe some of these I've not perhaps noticed. And for me, I've got the alphas next to each other, and I've just been very, very unimpressed by them in
They're
general.
like,
And I feel like most of the time I see Bottas, Guan Yu Zhou's not too far ahead of him. Um,
yeah,
he is beating his teammate. I probably am being very harsh. I feel like we can move on quickly to 16,
yeah.
where I've got Magnussen.
I've got Lance Stroll in 16th.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, the reason for me for Magnussen was exactly what you said, so I'm not going to waste anyone's time. Do you want to talk about Lance Stroll then? Because I feel like, yeah, there's a lot to say.
He's just so unimpressed. I know we had the whole injury thing, and that's saving him from being below a few of the other people. But look at what Fernando's achieved when the car was competitive.
Mm,
You know, he thinks on I think he's on six podiums, isn't he? And Stroll's just been nowhere near him, apart from when he had floor damage in his own race. And
yeah,
it wasn't what was the race for Silverstone, Austria? He beat him in Austria, didn't he? I think.
yeah,
But
and
he's
and in
compar
Miami as well.
oh
But
yeah,
that's
but
only because we,
comparatively, he's just been
yeah,
nowhere near him, has he?
exactly,
Like, say,
yeah,
he finished behind Sargent at Silverstone. He's been constantly messing around with McLaren all year, even though McLaren have had a tractor for ages.
mm,
He's been dicking around with the Alpines. He's just that car has been capable of so much more than he's got out of it, and they should be second in the constructors, but they're not
yeah.
because of him.
It's not even like a debate about what the reason is. There's no doubt that the car is
It's him.
fast. It is him.
Yeah,
Um, he is him.
he's not.
He is not. Should we move on to 15th then? Who have you got
Yeah,
on 15th?
this is where I put Joe. He's just
Okay.
sort of there, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, there's not much to say.
He's just been anonymous, sort
Yeah.
of in a good way though, because he's not crashing, is he? He's not doing anything wrong.
No,
The Alfa Romeo just kind of bad. So, and he's
he's
beating
got like,
Bottas.
has he got like, I think he's on 12 points, something like that. It's not
He
actually
doesn't
that bad, is it?
he
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
have that
not.
many, but
No.
he's just been like I say, he's having a bit like of a Sonoda season as well,
Mm,
where he's just sort of on the fringes every week. So
yeah, yeah, fair enough. 15th, I realise this is probably very harsh. I've got
bring him in for
Hulkenberg.
you. Hulkenberg.
And the reason why is
What?
because I just, when I see him, he breaks my heart every week. He does really well in qualifying, and you just know that within 5 laps he's gonna be a lap down. It just really frustrates me. I probably am being very harsh, but I looked at
You'll
the.
be you'll be shocked as to where I put Hulkenberg if you put him this
I
low.
feel like you're gonna have Hulkenberg like fifth or something, but I probably am just being very harsh, and this is for clicks. So if you hate me, that's why. Um, in fact, I think yeah, no, I'm gonna stick with it. I think I would actually
Okay.
swap the person above, but I've done it now, so I'm not gonna change
Well,
it.
I'm about to drop another huge name anyway in
Okay,
14th.
go on.
Sergio Perez.
Yeah, that's fair. I've got. Well, I'm not gonna say where I've got him, but in 14th I've got Lance Stroll. I'm not
Okay.
going to waste anyone's time. You said all the reasons. Don't talk about that. Do you want to go into Perez a bit? I feel like the way this is going, you're going to keep explaining whatever it is, and then I'm just going to be like, yeah,
Well, yeah.
he's already said it.
Well, with Perez, it's. Do you remember when in our own predictions video where I said, Ferrari are going to win the constructor because Perez is going to cost them it? Imagine if
Yeah,
Ferrari built a good car. I would be right.
yeah,
I would
yeah.
be
You
right.
actually, well,
Everything I
I
said
can't.
is true, except Red Bull's car is half a second faster than I thought it would be.
Yeah, but I can't forgive you for saying that Ferrari were going to win the championship when Red Bull was so much faster. I can't
No,
forgive
but
you
they
for that.
weren't. They weren't. They weren't. It wasn't the. No one expected them to rock up with this big of an advantage. And if they hadn't, Perez would be costing the constructors to Aston Martin, which we didn't see coming.
I
But
mean,
like,
I do
this
want. I do
this
want to
as
say.
soon as
I do
no,
want to say
I was gonna say
before Monaco, he was a potential title challenger.
He's been eliminated in the fastest car on the grid, not into
Yeah,
Q3 for 5 races in a row.
yeah. Oh, actually, yeah,
That
my
is not
list is wrong.
acceptable.
Yeah. Well, actually, I've got him. I've got him in 13th.
That's
Um,
13th, 14th for
I,
what he
I'm.
should be
I will be
achieving.
honest. I'm changing it. I did my list very, very quickly. So I'm changing it as I'm going on a little bit, but he wasn't that much further ahead. He was, yeah. So he's in 13th for me. Who's in 13th for you?
Pierre Gasly.
Pierre Gasly. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Do you want to dive into that? Because I've got him very, very different. Maybe that's just
Well,
naive by me, but
for me, he's just like Alpine are in no man's land, aren't they, at the minute?
yeah.
And Gasly's suffering. He's not doing anything wrong. He's 30th, just mid-table. He's there. He's not having a
Mm,
cracking season, but he's not doing anything wrong. Ocon obviously he's got the moment in Monaco, which is why I've put him in front of him.
yeah.
He's done well for adapting to a new team and new environment, but I've not seen anything where I've gone, wow, Gasly was really good this weekend. You know what I mean?
Mm, yeah. Um, I do have him in a very, very different place.
That's fair enough.
But not really. My reasons aren't really that different. I'll be honest. I think, and we said this before we started recording. The sort of middle is very tight for me. There
Yeah,
isn't really like it's sort of just whoever's name came to mind first in a way. Not really, but like it's just sort of
yeah.
a
There are
little
a lot of
bit.
interchangeable people, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like, and we spoke about this before recording as well, possibly deciding on agreeing on one, but I feel like agreeing on 20 because they're also literally there's 10 names who could be in the same place. Um,
Yeah.
so it's probably better that we just, we've got our own lists for that reason. Um,
Who are
but
you
yeah,
putting 13th?
so 13th I had Perez.
Oh, right,
Um,
yeah.
and I'm really worried what you're going to think if I've gotten 12 because maybe I'm being harsh.
I got you
You
say it
say
first.
you say
No,
first. You
you go
say first.
first. You go first. You go first.
Oh, can I say 12 and 11 together? No. Okay, I've got Piastri at 12. And part of this is your fault, I'll be honest. Because
Me?
coming into the season, I didn't know that much about him. I knew that he won F2 and that loads of people loved him and there was a whole situation, right? But I remember you told me that there are only like two drivers who ever won F3 and F2 or something before. Was it Formula Renault F3 and then F2 consecutively?
Right.
And
Yeah.
one of them was Charles Leclerc, and then
Lewis. I think, is it Lewis? It might be
Lewis,
Lewis.
and then Oscar Piastri. So I was thinking, here we go.
Yeah.
Oscar Piastri, he's gonna absolutely run the stage. And it's partly the car, but with
Did you watch Silverstone?
yeah, Silverstone, he was
He
unbelievable. Don't get me
finished
wrong. He was
exactly
so
as soon
unlucky.
as the
He deserved
McLaren.
third. No. Hold
As
on.
soon
Let
as the
me finish.
McLaren got
Let me
good.
finish. Okay, as soon as the McLaren got good, he did well, right? But before then, I just think no. But we saw Albon pulling that car up when that car was still rubbish. I never really felt like, and maybe I'm just forgetting things and being tired and naive, but I feel like I don't know. I just expected more. He's like I said, this midfield could be anywhere, but I
I
didn't
can't
feel
look at it and
electrified by
see.
him until Silverstone. Silverstone was fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but that's one race.
Well, I've got him a lot higher, and I'll give you my reasons for that later. But I
Okay.
can't see this grid and see 11 drivers in front of him this season, anyway.
No,
But I'm going
he's
to drop
not
my
the.
12th because
Yeah.
it's almost as bad.
Okay.
Carlos Sainz.
Uh, no, that's terrible. That's
No,
literally
it's not.
awful. Yes, it is.
How is it? How?
Okay, I've got him a lot
Every single
higher.
person on my list has had a better season than him. Comparatively, yes, he's doing okay in the standings. Leclerc is got on the only Ferrari on pole position has been him. The
Mm,
only one that's looking like challenging for a race win has been Leclerc.
yeah.
He's just like I say, he's been dicking around. He's been behind Alonso the whole season. He's been behind Lewis the whole season. He's not taking it to Russell very often. He's just there.
I think Ferrari have not given him a great car, and they've not given him Leclerc a great car either. But Leclerc, and I've got Leclerc lower than Sainz. I'm telling you that now because of my expectations for Leclerc. I genuinely think Leclerc is one of the best drivers on the grid, and I don't think that's particularly controversial. But I think he's very
Yes.
much up there. If he doesn't win a title in his career, he will be the best driver to have never won a title. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I think he's absolutely mercurial. He's unbelievable. Whereas with Sainz is clearly the second driver on that team. And Leclerc's had races where he's DNF, not necessarily because it's his own fault, but he's had races where he's been nowhere near. He's been knocked out in Q2, and I think maybe Q1, or maybe I'm thinking about the wrong, but it was Q2 in Spain he got knocked out, if I'm right. Whereas Sainz, I feel like he's consistently been up there, scoring points. He's been top five, top six, pretty much every race from what I can remember. You know, at least top eight and onwards, picking up points, and that is his job. Ultimately, if Leclerc was up there getting podiums and poles, that's what you expect from him. And you expect Sainz to be a little bit below Leclerc, and that's where he is. If Leclerc was higher, Sainz, you would be thinking Sainz had a better season. I think you're being very harsh. That's
For
all I'm
me,
saying.
for me, he's scoring points, but he's not scoring big points. There's not, like I say, it's the same with like it's the same what I said to Gasly. He's not had one result where we've gone, wow, Sainz was immense this week.
Yeah, but I
Like
don't think
Leclerc,
that's not Sainz's job though.
it is his job. He's driving for Ferrari. You're a Ferrari driver,
Yeah,
and
but
there's the car is up there. Apart from last week in Silverstone, it's Aston Martin, Mercedes, and Ferrari who are constantly swapping for the second fastest car. He's not been on the
yeah,
podium once all season.
yeah. Maybe I've been a bit too kind then, but I'm not going to change. I'm not going to change. Um, should we go to 11th? So you've got Sainz in
Yeah,
12th.
yeah.
Okay, who have you got in 11th?
Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah, I'm not too far. You're going to really, really hate me for this, and this is for the similar reasons I said for Piastri.
Oh no.
You're actually going to hate me. I'm going to get so much hate in the comments for this. I've got Lando Norris.
What?
For the same
What?
reasons, I
What?
said Piastri for 12. I think Lando, and for the same reasons, you're not going to like my Leclerc and where I put Leclerc. Lando Norris is one of the best drivers on the grid, and other than Silverstone, and maybe I'll genuinely accept on this one. Maybe I am wrong because I think I probably am forgetting quite a lot. But I think he's one of the best drivers on the grid, and I know he's been an absolute tractor of a car, but not often have I been
I've just seen my
electrified.
put Lando on my list. Oh wow, mate, I can't believe that. Fair enough for having the balls to say that because I wouldn't do it.
I think, wow, no, I'm gonna stick with it. I just feel like I hate it
You think hand on heart, 10 other drivers had a better season than Norris.
it's different when you put it like that.
Your list. Look at your list. You think all them drivers have had a better season than him?
I suppose it's just like he's. I hate it. Basically, I think maybe the reason I'm being a bit too harsh on the parents is because they've been good for one race, and I hate it when people see one race or in football one football game, and suddenly they're like, "Oh, this guy's really underrated," or "This guy's really overrated." I really hate that, and I feel
Yeah.
like and obviously still, I always hate when people say this, but if Silverstone didn't happen, if we were recording this the day before practice for Silverstone, he wouldn't be anywhere near in the same place. And I appreciate that obviously the fact he did so well in Silverstone does push him very much up the list. But I still think that a lot of these drivers have been consistent and they've been there throughout the whole season. And Norris hasn't been there all season. And I know that's not always been his fault. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I'm
Can
gonna
I?
hate myself now
Can
because I
I?
love Lando,
Can I
but
give? Can I give Yuki his flowers before we move on?
yes,
I
yeah, of
love
course.
Yuki Tsunoda. It actually pained me to put him this low, but his last few weeks have been really poor. Because
Mm,
up until about Monaco, he was having an absolute Hall of Fame back marker season. He was doing so well, and it started to unravel. But I still like the way he's evolved from last year. Everyone thought the race was going to beat him, and he's put him out of a job 10 weeks in. What a
yeah,
hero! I love Yuki, and
yeah.
it actually pained me to put him this low. But like I said, there's been a lot of good drivers this year, so 11th, bless him.
Yeah, yeah. 10th. Who have you got in 10th?
Esteban Ocon.
Okay. Tell us
Much to
why.
Matty's. Yeah, it's the same thing with. Obviously, he's 10th because of the Monaco performance where he was just unreal. But it's just, you got the same problem where he's just sort of in no man's land.
Mm,
The car isn't good enough for him to. have like what Norris did in Silverstone and put it on the front row. It's not, they've been outdeveloped, and for what he's been given underneath him, he's having a good season. He scores points every week basically, but it's
Yeah.
never, like I say, it's never big points. Same with Sainz. So I feel like I can't justify putting him any higher if he's not, scoring any higher than ninth or 10th every week.
Okay, I think I see what you're saying, but I see it in a slightly different perspective for Ocon, and I'll get into that when I get to where I put him. And I'm also just
It's not a
I'm
slight on Ocon, by the way. I think he's had a great
yeah.
season, but I just think there's been so many people who've performed so well that
Hmm.
I couldn't justify putting him in front of any of the other 9 drivers I've put in front of him.
Okay, okay. In 10th, I've got Pierre Gasly.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think I think that sums him up perfectly. He's had a very middling season. He's been in the points. Um, I thought he's been. I feel like I feel it sounds really harsh putting him in 10th, right? Or it sounds. I don't know. Maybe that sounds harsh or nice, but for example, even these drivers we've got in like 13th or even slightly higher, they've had decent seasons. Just been
I
very
put him
competitive.
13th, and I think he's had a good season.
Yeah, exactly. So me that okay, and that's also my defense putting Norris and Piastri in 11th and 12th respectively. So they've still had decent seasons. Oh no, I'm not going to get into it. I'm just going to let people forget about that. But yeah, I've got Gasly in 10th. There's not really that much to say. You sort of said it already as per usual. Should we jump straight to 9th?
Yeah, if you got.
Yuki Tsunoda. This is just one of those things, middle of the pack. For me, I put him slightly higher because that Alpha Tauri is an absolute.
It's awful, isn't it? It's
It's
so
just
bad.
it's just terrible. But I still feel like, and I feel like he's very unlucky to only have 2 points at this point in the season.
Yeah,
Because he is a talented driver. I think this rating is one of the ones that can change the most, depending on what happens in the next few weeks, before the summer break and then the few weeks after, based on how he competes with Daniel Ricciardo. Um,
yeah.
but we still have to wait for that. But I've got him in 9th. No shock there. What have you got in 9th?
George Russell.
George Russell. Oof.
Yeah, I feel
Okay,
like
go on.
he's doing his job. He's having a good season. He's in 9th, but as soon as them side pods have been bolted on the Mercedes, he's getting absolutely slapped by Lewis
Yeah,
Hamilton.
yeah,
I don't think has he outqualified him since he outqualified him in Silverstone, didn't he? But then he
yeah.
obviously in the race he didn't beat him.
Mm,
And there's times where it feels like his only aim is to beat Lewis, not to
yeah,
not to help Mercedes out.
yeah,
And compared to like last season where he flew out the gates, absolutely beating Lewis every week, he's not
yeah.
hit them heights.
Mm.
And he's had a couple. He had that mechanical failure when he was running well in Australia, but apart from that, he's been pretty clean, and he's still, you know, again, it's the same thing with like Sainz. Like it's not been a thing where I've gone, "Wow, Russell, that was amazing."
Yeah, he was just, I feel like he's been, maybe I'm just forgetting again, but I feel like he's been relatively consistent.
Yeah, yeah, he's had a good
Um,
season.
I just think, yeah, but it's very, our lists are just very harsh, aren't they?
I think it's hard. There's so little between the drivers. I think this year
Yeah, no, I agree, especially,
in this middle
especially the
part,
sort of lower middle to upper,
I
well, yeah, the whole
think
middle part, yeah.
from like 6th to 13th, you can put any from anywhere.
Yeah, no, I agree. Um, thank fuck you said so. Oh, actually, well, that's a slight disagreement with me, but fair enough. Okay, so going into 8th place, um, I'll jump in. I put Esteban Ocon. I feel like that's slightly harsh, but you got a podium in Monaco. So, like the
Yeah,
Alpine is nowhere near podium standard. There are 4 cars that are clearly ahead of him. Obviously Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, and Aston Martin. They are clearly ahead of the Alpine. The Alpine is easly the 5th fastest car on the grid.
well, McLaren now as well. So probably
Well, it
6th fastest now.
has been the 5th fastest car on the grid for the majority of the season.
Yeah,
But so that's why I feel like picking up 8th, 9th, 10th. That's a good result. And I'm saying 8th, 9th, and 10th because Stroll basically may as well not be on the grid. So we're including that extra spot in there. But I feel like, he has been picking up points consistently. I think ultimately, when you are excuse Silverstone, when you are the stonewall fifth fastest car on the team on the grid, that's what you want,
Can't do a
really,
lot
isn't it?
more. Yeah,
You know, they will, unless something drastic happens with McLaren, they will finish fifth. Actually, well, McLaren could finish fifth now with it. If their car is genuinely front row worthy, maybe they could finish fifth, but or even maybe higher if Leclerc and Sainz can't get their act together. But regardless, um, yeah, the Alpine's been fifth, and that's where he's been put in the car, and he got a podium in Monaco, which not many people can say. So yeah,
yeah.
he's eighth for me.
I put Oscar Piastri eighth.
Okay, okay,
I can justify it because I put him this high because of how much I rate Norris.
yeah,
Because he come into the McLaren, it's a tractor. It was at the start of the season, and straight away he was like a tenth away from Norris every week. In Saudi Arabia, Lando got knocked out in Q1. Piastri got into Q3, ruined his race in the first couple of turns because I think might have been knock on it him, but he just been there on Norris the whole time, which I think's been really impressive for a rookie
yeah,
as well. And he didn't have the upgrades until Silverstone, and then when he did, outqualified Lewis, would have beat Lewis on pure pace as a
yeah,
rookie if the safety car didn't happen.
yeah.
And I've just been really impressed by him by what I've seen. He's not done anything like no stupid crashes for a rookie, which is a good going considering it's
And
his first. Yeah, not cost
mm,
McLaren any money. He's just been there scoring where the car's capable of scoring every single week, and I can't say enough good about him. He's amazing.
okay, no, that's fair enough. Still join to go straight into seventh.
Yeah. Oh God,
Go
that's
on.
why I put Charles Leclerc.
I've got him in seventh as well.
Oh my God,
So we
look at that.
finally agreed on one. Do you want to say why?
You can explain why. I'll chip in if you want.
Okay, I think we're probably gonna have different reasons. Yours is probably going to be more detailed than mine. But for me, I said this earlier, he is one of the best drivers on the grid. Maybe second, probably the second best driver on the grid in my opinion. I expect so much from him, and overall he hasn't delivered. Not always his fault, but he has. But whilst he is still up in seventh because he still had some very very good moments. You know, the Baku qualifying and the sprint race, he did probably about as well as he could have done. You know, put it on pole, and then the Rebels just faster. Not really much you can do. And the other reason, and the other results you said earlier. So for me, you know, I think he's been okay, but I expect a lot more of him. A lot more of him. What about you?
I feel like we've been harsh, but like it's I do expect a lot more of him. You do forget though, he's like I said, the only Ferrari driver on the podium this season, the only non-Red Bull to take a pole position all season. So he has put the work in, but also the crash in Miami was completely his fault after he
Yeah,
crashed that corner 3 times in 1 week. And
yeah,
again, I could have easily put him sixth or fifth, but I wanted to appreciate the other drives I've put there, and
yeah.
I feel like I'm being harsh putting him there. But again, I've not apart from the Baku weekend, Ray was absolutely like just incredible. I don't think we've seen like the Charles magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Other than a couple of moments here and there, no, I do agree. Okay, so we're going to jump straight back into our top six then. Who's in sixth for you?
Well, I've put Nico Hulkenberg in sixth,
Oh wow,
which is
yeah,
a
okay,
mad shout when you think about it.
yeah.
But I
Go
feel
on,
like he deserves some praise.
Explain yourself.
Well, it's purely on his qualifying form mostly because of
Yeah,
in Canada he's amazing. Got a front row taken off him for basically no reason.
yeah,
Austria, that sprint race he had where he took it to Perez,
yeah,
he held him for many laps. I just feel like in the Haas he's smashing Magnussen, which no one
mm,
expected,
yeah.
and
Well,
in a car that eats its tires as much as the Haas does.
yeah.
I I just feel like he deserves his flowers. I've put him above Charles. Has he had a better season than Charles? Probably not, but I feel like he deserves his
He might have done
recognition.
it by expectation because people, like you
Yeah,
said, might not have expected how much. I remember it was probably a bit of a shock that he
that's
got
part of my
his
reasoning.
seat back. Um, and obviously, like we said, there's not much debate about whether how good Charles is. Of course, he's one of the best in the grid. Um, So maybe I disagree with you for the reason we said, because now we both got both of those on our list. Um, but I can sort of see where you're coming from. I do think that he's had a worse. I think for me, there's no point having all these amazing qualifyings if you can't convert it to anything. If you can only convert P3 to P3 and all these good qualifyings to 9 points in total, it's not amazing. But maybe you could argue that 9 points in a Haas is a lot better than many people expected. But yeah, that's I suppose it's all perspective, isn't it? I've gone. You're going to hate me for this. I've gone for George Russell. So I've got him the place above Charles Leclerc. The
I think that's outrageous.
consistency. You think that's outrageous?
That was well, I put Hulkenberg in front of Leclerc, so I can't really say anything.
Yeah, you can shush. No, I think he's had a good season. He's been solid. I've obviously got Hamilton above him. Based on last season, it is very disappointing that he's not beating Hamilton again or not being more competitive with Hamilton. But I do think that he's had a good season. Um, I think as well. I think part of it for me is that I still think he's a really good. I really think he's a really really good driver. Um,
Yeah,
Maybe I'd put him higher on the list than other people would, but I do think he's a really good driver, and I really want to see him continue to. Probably he needs to be Hamilton is the issue. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I've got him in sixth. Um,
I feel like
you're not
looking
gonna
at
like
it, I
I've got him
think
fifth, but sorry, go on, carry
I
on.
feel like I was looking at my top five, and I think we've got in some order the same, apart from one driver. So
Yeah.
I've put Alex Albon in fifth.
I mean, it's not that obviously it's not that far away from where I've got him. I've got Carlos Sainz in fifth, which is the one driver who you don't have in your top five, who I do.
Yeah,
And that's for the reasons I said earlier. He's just been really consistent. And if Leclerc was doing as we expected Leclerc to do, you probably I don't know if we'd really be complaining about how Sainz has done. Maybe it does depend on how fast Leclerc and how well Leclerc would have been doing. Because if he was like challenging for wins, then obviously he'd expect more out of Sainz. But where that car is, I don't know. I just think he's been in the right place, picking up points. Obviously, he's on more points than Leclerc. I know that doesn't mean he's a better driver than Leclerc, but I think he's been there. Do you know what I mean? I sort of
yeah,
I just think he's been very. He's always been, as far as I can remember, he's literally always been in Q3. He's literally always been in that sort of top seven, picking up points, and I think that's what you want from him, really.
yeah. I see what you've done. Like you value consistency a lot in your list,
Mm,
which is fair enough because like obviously I've put Sainz 12, but that looking at it now, I felt probably been a bit harsh to him. But like I
mm.
said, I just don't think he's had that one or two moments where he's really dragged a few extra tenths out of the car like
Yeah,
Leclerc can.
yeah. Maybe I think that's probably fair in all fairness. But I think, God, do you want to talk about Albon, who you've got in fifth?
Yeah, I think he's just been magic, hasn't he? Really, from where when Red Bull sacked him, he he was like, didn't get another seat, and then when you look at the car he's been driving as well. Remember when it got crashed and you could see the underfloor of it compared to the Red
Mm,
Bulls, and it's just like prehistoric. And
yeah,
despite that, every week before the upgrades, every week he's in and around the top 10, challenging, and then the upgrades come seventh in Canada. Scott, I think P8 in Silverstone. He's just having such a great season, and him and that I think Albon and Vowles, that combination at Williams is really it's the seventh in the constructors now. You don't realize how from where they
mm,
started last season as the worst car, they've come so
yeah,
quickly up the order,
mm,
and I just think Albon is the head of that. He's just
yeah,
really galvanized the whole team around him, and he's just been amazing.
yeah. I agree with everything you just said. That's why it's higher on my list.
Yeah,
So I'll talk about. I'll go into him in a minute, but should go straight into fourth. If you want
yeah.
fourth,
Number four, Lando Norris.
okay. Oh wow. Okay, go on
Yeah,
then. I'm interested to hear what you're going to say here.
because this like I know what you're saying about how before Silverstone he was having a bit of a mess season, but for me, he was always at the ceiling of the McLaren. Even when I honestly, hand on heart, believe they started the season with the second worst car. And
No,
yet,
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
and he was still, fighting with the Alpines on occasion. And then as soon as like that, as soon as he's got a capable car in Austria, straight away fighting fourth in Austria, second in Silverstone. He's just so good. Always, always in Q3. Never really makes a mistake. He made one mistake in Jeddah in qualifying, and that's the only thing he's done wrong all season, I think. So yeah, it's just again just Lando, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, he is amazing. I think that we're not really disagreeing a whole lot, if we're honest. Because it's just that I'm only putting him lower because he's had a mess season until recently. But I expect so much more of him. Whereas he's had a mess season, but he's done well in a mech car. So we're
Yeah.
not really disagreeing a whole lot. In fourth, I've got Lewis Hamilton. Um, because
Okay.
I think because he's dominated Russell this season. He's picked up a couple of podiums. Is that right? He's obviously got at least one. He got his statutory podium in Silverstone.
Yeah, by hook or by crook, but he did.
Yeah, that was very fortunate, and I do feel very bad for Piastri, but that's a whole other thing. But for me, yeah, he's got back on top. Well, I was say he's got back on top of Russell. Like sounds a bit mad, but but that's true. He has. Russell was all
Yeah.
over him last season, and a lot of people, starting to think what's he doing? But this season he's come back and he said, for those who don't know me, you know me now, or whatever. But yeah, I've been very impressed, and that's partly because I rate Russell so highly.
Yeah.
And he's looks very very comfortable. Who have you got him for? Wait, did you say you got him for? Yeah, Lando Norris.
Yeah.
Okay, what about third?
I put Lewis third. I feel
Okay,
like you can't dispute the top two, so I put Lewis third.
yeah,
Pretty much the same reasons to you. Like he's proper last season. Like I think the regs took him a bit by surprise with how far Mercedes were off, and he's a bit
mm,
of a guinea pig. But he's proper put George in his place in the last few weeks,
yeah,
hasn't
yeah, 100%.
he? And he's really like he's shown the quality. Like the top three, I don't think you can argue they're the best on the grid by a distance. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I know my top three, not your top three, because somehow, well, fair play to Alex
Well,
Albon's wormed his way into third by the sounds of it. You've not.
no, he's third. He's third.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Alex Albon for me is in third. Like you said, he's just been absolutely magic. It's been a very mixed season for Williams, I guess, because it was just been reliable, and then they've been slowly getting better. But he's literally always been up there. Like I feel like every single race, I see him and I just think, how what is he doing up there? Surely he's going to start losing places soon. And then okay, and he's lost a couple, but there's sometimes you like with the DRS this year, you just can't do it. Sometimes you just can't do anything. But I feel like he's always outperformed. He's absolutely, Sargent is on,
No, no point.
yeah, nothing. Albon is completely carrying the team, and I also just love him. So he goes in third for
Yeah.
me. I
Yeah.
like him more than I like Lewis. That's going to trigger the Lewis Hamilton fans, but I love Alex Albon. He's brilliant. Um,
Yeah.
and now we're going to go to our top two, and I think if you've got these the wrong way around, you're an idiot. But I'm pretty sure you don't because I don't think you're an idiot. So do you want to jump in second?
Fernando Alonso.
Yeah, El Plan is underway. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The only thing it was as the weeks have gone on, what I will say is the gap between Alonso and Hamilton of where I would have put them has gotten a lot smaller. But I think that's
okay,
due to Aston Martin. Well, they haven't fallen off, have they? Because we know their car's good at low speed. I think at Hungary next
yeah,
week we're going to see them back up there again. But
okay,
that start just his first just them first 8 races where he got 6 podium. You can't not put him second.
yeah,
He's been the story of the season, I think.
100%, yeah. It's so weird to me the idea that he is getting on getting on 40. I don't
And
know his
he's
exact.
42 this year.
He's 42. That is absolute to be 42 and to be doing so well. Like as someone who's I've been into football my whole life, and obviously you see players retiring at 30, 33, 34. Sometimes that's a push. And the only players who play to 38 max are goalkeepers, and they stand around the whole game. And obviously they dive, whatever. But going through the G-force and flying around and challenging all these young drivers or younger drivers, just and he's not had to be at the top of near the front of the grid for ages. He spent so long in mediocre cars that he's not even so. But he's just absolutely come out and smashed it, and it's just done so well, hasn't he?
I think it's a testament to him and Lewis that there's all these like Lando and Max and Leclerc, but they're still there, aren't they? Those two.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely, and even the names of like George and Carlos, and
Yeah,
yeah, the fact that they're always there is just amazing to me. And I still think that that opening race of the season where he was fighting with
yeah,
Hamilton, and that is just like
heritage.
it was just so good to see. It was just beautiful.
Yeah,
Um, and we're going to go into one now. We've both got the same man, Max Verstappen.
where he's been the
What is
whole
there left to
season,
say?
really.
Yeah,
He's
what's there
P1
left
here
to
as
say?
well. Well, you know me, I'm a Verstappen sympathiser. As much as everyone likes to, hate him,
Yeah.
you just got sometimes you just got to look at it and just be like, yeah, you just got to appreciate what he's doing because
Mm.
Perez is driving that car as well. He's complete. As soon as there was even murmurs of, oh my God, Perez might challenge Max for the title, just completely put him in his place. That Miami race for me, where Max started ninth and Perez was on pole, and on pure pace, he beat him fair and square.
Mm.
That was like
Embarrassingly for Perez, by the way, as
that.
well.
Yeah, I know, but that just shows to me like I don't think any driver on the current grid you put in that Red Bull, I don't think anyone's beating him.
No, no, I agree. I think he's. I mean, there's got to be potential future GOAT debates going on.
Oh, I think he's already passed he's already a Formula One great now, isn't he? He's got more wins than
Yeah.
Senna. He's on for his third world title. So,
Mm. But
to
the only
me,
thing, the only thing about that though is that for two of those years there was literally, and we're assuming he's going to get the third one. There was literally no competition. So
oh
for me,
yeah,
I'd want to see him, and we've seen him win races and be fantastic. Obviously, have insane races. Brazil, what was it, 2016? One of the greatest
well,
performances in the wet ever. We've seen that from him, and we know he can. He's been in subpar cars and still won races and been amazing. But I feel like if he's going to be in the GOAT debate, we just have to see just a little bit more and win one more title where there's someone else who could have won it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And
I
even
think
then,
that's
he
fair enough.
won his first title. Lewis Hamilton fans are going to argue he shouldn't have won his first title because of Abu Dhabi. So
Yeah, but
it's an
when you
interesting debate.
that's the thing for 2021. The Mercedes was quicker for half it, and he got 25 taken. I can defend this man till I die. By the way,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
got 25 points taken in Silverstone. He got at least 18 taken off him in Hungary as well.
Mm,
So, and he was fighting against, like I say, Perez was nowhere that season, and Bottas was always third. So he's fighting with one hand behind his back against the Mercedes team, and he still won the title. Yes, it
mm.
was in controversial circumstances, but
Yeah.
I just think when you look at him now as not 2021, 2023 Max, there's not a single thing, there's not a single weakness in his entire game, is there? He doesn't
Mm,
like even when he's angry, he doesn't crash anymore. He doesn't crash for anyone.
yeah.
He's not making any stupid mistakes. He's always,
Mm,
on the front row in qualifying.
mm.
And
And do you know what I noticed as well? In Australia, I remember after that race, we said he had a bad race, even though he'd won. And I still stand by that. But the
yeah, he
moment that I
did.
think we sort of noticed that he had grown up a bit was when he had a bad start and he didn't dive bomb anyone. He
Yeah.
allowed, he's very aware that the car is faster than everyone else. Doesn't need to be stupid in the first corners. And I think when we saw that, we sort of realised that he's growing up a bit, he's matured, and he's very aware of what he needs to do to win. And dive on people on the first corner is not part of that. Even
Yeah.
though he lost the win, he lost first place at that point, and dropped to third or
Yeah, third. He got
yeah, I don't know
I
if I'm
think
forgetting that, but
yeah.
he didn't he didn't do anything stupid like you say, and he could not have been more impressive this year.
He just unflappable, isn't
Mm,
honestly, we're now looking at every record in the book that he could be
yeah,
beating.
yeah,
He's on 5 wins in a row. Like I say, if he wins the next four, that's Seb's 9 in a row. He's got his own record of 15 wins in a season he could beat this year.
yeah.
Most points in a season. if he wins all the races this year, which he won't, but if he does, he can be in front of Vettel and Prost for race wins, I think, which is just mad to me, just completely mental.
Yeah, and he's still so young. It feels like he's not really been around. Well, I mean, he's been around for a long time. It doesn't feel like he has really.
He's only really emerged as like I say, he's tripled his wins in 2 years, so
yeah,
just crazy. Okay, so that's been our 20-1 driver rankings so far, midway through the season. Obviously,
yeah,
feel free to disagree in the comments, which I know you will, because there's been some
yeah.
heinous placements from the pair of us.
I think definitely more from you than from me, but that's fine.
Yeah, clearly. But yeah, make sure you let us know what you think, and we will be back properly for Hungary next week. I hope.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
And yeah, obviously get all the socials, all the usual stuff.
yeah.
And
Make sure to subscribe. That's the numbers, but
so thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.
cheers, guys.